The college football chaos continues, and tonight from Death Valley, a stadium that's 100 years old, we welcome you to the SEC on ESPN, and they welcome the Oklahoma Sooners for the very first time. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubick for a matchup of blue bloods. Oklahoma now bowl eligible after a shocking win against Alabama last week, and LSU trying to finish strong, sitting at 7-4 overall. This is a dynamic LSU offense behind Garrett Nussmeier, but an elite Oklahoma defense. And on this chilly night in Red Stick, you figure something's got to give. Just the fourth meeting all time between Oklahoma and LSU in a series that dates to the 1950 Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma won the toss, elected to defer, so LSU will receive. Xavier Thomas back. Zach Schmidt will put it in the air. And this one through the back of the end zone. And so here we go, and here we are. Welcome, everybody. Fresh off the mean streets of Baton Rouge, Jordan Rogers from SEC Nation, Tom Hart and Cole Kubick down on the sideline. Mentioned Garrett Nussmeier a moment ago. He is with LSU Elite. He is third behind Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, a couple of Heisman Trophy winners in terms of the passing numbers he's put up. Is it possible to have a big passing day today?
Well, I think so, but they're going to have to be balanced on the ground. And this is a really good Oklahoma defense, especially against the run, but a defense that you don't want to be one-dimensional against. So start out with the run here, and that'll open things up.
Stands tall in the pocket and delivers too high for Aaron Anderson and incomplete.
Or you go 5 wide and sling it to open the game. You know?
Why not? I feel like maybe they feel they want to take some shots downfield. Joe Burrow has the LSU record single season passing yards. Jaden Daniels last year second in program history, and Nussmeier third to those two in 100-yard games.
Yeah, I think it's him protecting the football, especially the last couple weeks, coming off what I think was his most efficient performance of the year against Vandy last week.
Threw for 332 and 1 touchdown. And throws it again, this time to C.J. Daniels, who took a couple of hits before taking it to the 28. Danny Stutzman, the first of what will probably be many tackles tonight, and third and short now for LSU.
Yeah, C.J. Daniels, a guy they want to get going, the former transfer from Liberty, especially in the red zone. He's a guy they want to look to, but getting him the ball in space, forcing, as you mentioned, Danny Stutzman and this really good defense to go sideline to sideline. They're so aggressive. We want to make them move lateral as much as possible.
Oklahoma 15th in the country against the run, but 48th against the pass. And Stutzman comes into this one third in the SEC in tackles, sitting at the century mark right now. Xavier Thomas motions and then comes back, and a whistle will blow it dead. It'll be a timeout.
Before the snap, LSU takes their first timeout.
Timeout taken by LSU on the first possession.
It's a 30-second timeout.
Looking at a third and short. So looking at a 3rd and 1, and LSU's been great on third downs over the course of this season, but our playbook, brought to you by Modelo, dials a little bit deeper into all of that. Oklahoma's defense, as coordinated by Zach Alley, has been sensational. Well, 2 blue bloods going head-to-head today, Oklahoma and LSU. Owners of 11 national titles, 10 Heisman Trophy winners, including over the last 4 of the last 7. Pretty good, huh? 2
really proud programs, and all these games we're seeing today have college football playoff implications and championship implications. This one just for pride of these 2 fan bases.
Straight ahead, and enough for the first down.
And that's really all you need out of this LSU run game, to pick up some of the dirty yards. Look, you're not going to go out and run for 200 yards on this Oklahoma defense with Danny Stutzman and Kip Lewis, Billy Bowman, some of the superstars on that side of the ball. But you need to keep them honest, and you need to be able to pick up 3rd and shorts like they did right there.
You're going to raise it up where you go on this. So we be on top of yours.
Mason Taylor was a tight end in motion. Nussmeier chased backwards, and off his back foot floats it to the Oklahoma sideline. Cole, this is an LSU offensive line that has been inconsistent. When healthy, maybe the best in the country. They did not perform well a couple weeks ago against Florida, allowed 7 sacks.
Now, had a new left guard in the game. Florida gave them a lot of different looks, forced them into some protections they're not normally comfortable with. But it's a group that I feel like has taken some unfair criticism for the majority of this year.
Paul Mubenga has taken over at left guard. Garrett Dellinger out again. That was a huge hole against the Gators. Here's Kyron Lacey with the catch. Eli Bowen brings him down.
Yeah, that offensive line had a good game last week, but before that against Florida, you mentioned Paul Mubenga, left guard, filled in for Garrett Dellinger, really struggled. And that's where this Oklahoma team is sneaky good. Grayson Halton in there, Jaden Jackson. A couple guys on the interior that don't get enough credit that can really disrupt an offensive line in there.
And certainly on the perimeter with R. Mason Thomas, number 32 on the edge. Nussmeier slings it just a hair wide and a little bit low for Anderson. And that'll bring on the punt team.
Boy, that one just a miss by Garrett Nussmeier. Great play design from Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, getting Aaron Anderson, one of their best guys, one of their best ball-in-hand guys in space. And he just left that one a little short and a little too far out in front.
Peyton Todd has taken over the punting duties for the night for LSU. Oklahoma nearly got it. Wow. No flag on the play, and the ball will take an LSU hop inside the 15 and trickle down to the 12. It turns into a 46-yard punt. Punt by Todd, and that's where OU will take over. And an offense that's been reinvented since they made a change at the offensive coordinator position. And well, Jackson Arnold has taken full advantage of that, not necessarily through his reputation through the air, but on the ground, especially against Bama, even though the passing numbers have improved dramatically over the last 4.
Yeah, doing whatever this team needs him to do. It's really been a Jackson Arnold 2.0. Remember, the former 5-star and number 3 overall prospect, started the first 4 games, benched for 3, new offensive coordinator, and he's done a little bit of everything. But last week it was 131 yards with his legs, and I expect to see a lot more of that against this LSU defense tonight.
131 yards came on 25 quarterback carries. Rolls the pocket and flicks it incomplete. He had Greg Penn chasing him down.
That's kind of going to be who this offense is, right? They're an RPO-based team, so if it's not coming out of his hand quickly, they want to move the pocket, use his legs, his athleticism that's pretty sneaky, and LSU has struggled with mobile quarterbacks so far this year.
That's an understatement. They've run all over him. They did slow down Diego Pavia somewhat last week. Toss to the short side, bottled up, and no gain. Xavier Robinson taken down by Braden Swinson, and that will leave 3rd and 10.
Yeah, this is not where this Oklahoma offense wants to be. And a couple of names in there on this play against Xavier Robinson, Greg Penn in there, Braden Swinson, as you mentioned. This defense really playing at a high level, especially late in the year. Starts with those linebackers, Greg Penn and Whit Weeks.
And nearly impossible at night, where LSU has won 18 of its last 20 games here at Death Valley after the sun sets. Couple of yards for Jacob Jordan. And that'll do it for Oklahoma's first possession. Savion Jones with the stop for LSU. Luke Elzinga on to punt it away for Oklahoma. And Xavier Thomas stands at his own 40 for LSU. Short, fair catch taken at the 46-yard line, a 40-yard punt. 2 Blue Bloods going head-to-head. First ever meeting in Death Valley between Oklahoma and LSU. An LSU program that has seen some ups and downs. That'd be an understatement over the course of this season, year 3, under head coach Brian Kelly. They lost their opener to USC. Then they won 6 in a row. A 3-game losing streak followed that began the undressing by Texas A&M, in which Garrett Nussmeier threw 3 interceptions. Freshman running back Caden Durham gets towed here and picks up a couple of yards. Nussmeier feels like, if you're just going to stereotype your typical gunslinger, like he can throw for 300. He has in 8 of his 12 starts. He can also find the other jersey sometimes.
Yeah, it's because of the type of windows he's confident throwing into. I mean, as big of a mailbox anywhere on the field, he feels like he can put it in. So sometimes that means forcing throws that you probably shouldn't. Interceptions. That was the story against A&M, against Alabama. Also, they couldn't stop the quarterback run on the other side of the ball. Those two things in conjunction kind of led to that 3-game slide.
You would think Oklahoma would try to take advantage of that aspect tonight. Swing out of the backfield to Durham, and he gets by the first and takes it inside the 35. 16-yard catch and run.
And this is the decision-making LSU fans want to see from Garrett Nussmeier tonight. This is a check down, right? He steps up in the pocket, nothing there. Flip your hips, get the ball to your running back. He did that 5 times last week, Tom. 4 of them resulted in first downs, and 4 of them resulted in gains of 13 yards or more. It was the patience of just getting to your check down last week that made the difference for Garrett Nussmeier, and already tonight a good decision.
And I feel like that's complimentary football, opposite of the deep ball threat that he is with his arm strength. Back to the ground game.
But, you know, I had so many coaches through my career, collegiate and professionally, that said, hey, that's the Pro Bowl route. You get to that 4th or 5th, the check down, you're going to the Pro Bowl every single year because the yards add up, the offensive efficiency, the points, the drives. That little wrinkle is what sets quarterbacks apart at this level and the next level.
That's why Georgia beat Georgia Tech the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Beck just kept finding that running back out of the backfield, checked it, and they'd pick up big chunks of yards.
Just one major chunk of the college football chaos this weekend after 8 overtimes and Georgia surviving. Moments ago, Syracuse came from 21 down to knock off Miami. Nussmeier over the middle, and good hands, good catch. That's Kamarian Pimpton, 6'6" tight end out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Boy, watch Will Campbell, left tackle, right here. Look at this protection. This is a really good pass rush off the edge from our Mason Thomas that he's just going to stonewall him. I mean, that second reaction, the strength there to stop the power rush and send him backwards and give Nussmeier just that extra second to step up and deliver that ball. That's why he's one of the best in the country and probably one of the first ones coming off the board next year in the NFL draft.
Campbell has allowed 1 sack and 956 dropbacks.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That will work. Here's Caden Durham. Cole, what makes Will Campbell so good in your eyes?
I think first and foremost, physicality, mindset. He knows how to finish a play. He wants to dominate on every snap. And then the hand strength is something that really sticks out to me if you want to get super technical. When he gets engaged, his hands on a defender, they do not get away. And it is uncanny, the hand strength that he has. I was talking to LSU strength coach about it before the game. He's like, listen, he hand cleans 365. That's really the only measurement I have to give you. But yes, you're right. When we watch him, when we see him operate, it absolutely sticks out.
Campbell's second team All-SEC as a freshman. He started from day 1 of fall camp when he came in. Looking to set up the screen. And Josh Williams eventually gets taken down. Trace Ford in on the stop for Oklahoma.
I asked him, when I talked to him this week, Tom, how long have you been an offensive lineman? He said, well, going into my freshman year, I had never played offensive line. He said, put me on offensive line, said, guess what you're going to play? And he said, almost quit. Told my dad I didn't want to go back. He said, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm starting on the varsity. Been an offensive lineman ever since.
And that bank account's going to appreciate it because, as you said, he will be one of the first taken off the board. And we know the value of that left tackle position at all levels. 3rd down 9. LSU's converted 50% of its 3rd downs this season. Nussmeier going to up that number. This is Kyron Lacey, and this is an LSU touchdown. Ninth touchdown of the season for Lacey. Second possession. Now LSU takes it 53 yards for the score. Damian Ramos on for the point after. And the Tigers have a 7-0 first quarter lead midway through.
Well, we mentioned one of the matchups to watch. Paul Mabenga, the backup offensive lineman at left guard right here. He's going to get some pressure from this left side from Grayson Halton, which is going to cause Garrett Nussmeier to scramble to the right, find his outlet in Kyron Lacey, and nobody else there. And LSU here in Death Valley off to a hot start.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. And in part by Mercedes-Benz.
Fourth all-time meeting between Oklahoma and LSU. 3 prior meetings all occurred in the postseason, including the Peach Bowl in 2019 as LSU was on its way behind Joe Burrow and Ed Ogeron. A couple 1,000-yard receivers and a slew of NFL stars on their way to another LSU national title. Opportunity for a return out to the 15 and to the 20, and another spin and past the 25 to the 30-yard line. Oklahoma's going to have good field position when we return, but first to the studio, here's Matt Berry.
Gentlemen, good evening. Time now for your Chick-fil-A move on the field. And if you can avoid the chaos today, you're extremely lucky. And Christian Gray seals it for Notre Dame. USC driving to tie it. Pick 6 all the way back, 97 yards for the touchdown. And because of it, Notre Dame, like I said, avoids the chaos, 49-35.
Wow. Who's ready for Notre Dame, Ohio State for a playoff game opening weekend? Jackson Arnold with the shovel. Here it's Xavier Robinson. And he takes it past the 35-yard line. What a game for Jackson Arnold, turning to the ground game last week. We covered Oklahoma early in the season, and I said he's a good runner, but we can't risk him. And now it's getting to the point of the year, like, we need to lose. Great. Yeah.
Do whatever you need to win, and I love some of the wrinkles that Joe John Finley instituted last week against Alabama for this offensive run game as well.
Here's Robinson, finds the sideline after the swing pass, and he's got a first down. Second possession for OU. That's a gain of 8.
And Xavier Robinson has been such a bright spot. Didn't play at all the first 8 games. And then got his first career carry against Maine, got a few carries late against Missouri and showed some promise, and then absolutely exploded for over 100 yards against Alabama. The true freshman, when they needed it most, stepped up.
Yeah, he had more carries in that single game against the Crimson Tide than he had all season coming in. Arnold again rolling to pass and now tucks it. Cole, given Jackson Arnold's success on the ground last week, you surprised we haven't seen quarterback run yet?
I was actually just counting that, Tom. I think we're 7 plays in now and have not had a direct quarterback run with Jackson Arnold. And that's what they smoked Alabama with a week ago. You remove the pocket with him a little bit. He's got the option to tuck it and run, but it was those direct north-south runs that they had so much success with. Yes, I'm surprised, particularly with how athletic and aggressive the LSU edges are.
See if that changes anytime soon. Couple of yards for Robinson.
And I alluded to it, but this is an LSU defense that's really struggled against mobile quarterbacks all the way back to Lenora Sellers, but most recently Marcel Reed, and then, Jalen Milroe went for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground against this team. So if one of these next plays, it's not going to be this one, but if they pick up this first and we don't see a quarterback designed run, I'd wonder if Jackson's 100% healthy or if they're trying to take some hits off him.
Yeah, add to that, Marcel Reed of A&M had 3 rushing touchdowns. On third down, off the hand of Jacob Jordan out of his break. And Oklahoma will bring on the punt team just shy of midfield. Jordan, a freshman out of South Lake, Texas, having a great second half of the season.
Yeah, it's just an option route with the defenders so far off. Jackson is expecting Jordan to come out of that break a little bit quicker. Don't really need to make a big move at the top of that route because he had about 5 yards of cushion. Jordan tried a little fake inside and then broke outside and just a half second off.
They'll zing on to punt it away. Oklahoma had a big fake against Missouri in that back and forth game in Columbia, and Xavier Thomas immediately gets smothered and covered at the 9, a 44-yard punt. And we get a chance to talk a little bit about a guy who's become an elite college football linebacker.
Yeah, there's a couple things he does so well. He keeps his shoulders so square to the line of scrimmage that he can avoid a lot of those blocks, and then his vision is so elite. Change of direction as well. It's the reason he's one of the best linebackers in the entire country. You never can fool him. And then the courage. It's his 600 pounds of beef right in front of him, a double team. He takes him right on. Both of them, holds his ground enough to let his tacklers come in. Sometimes the best things he does don't show up in the stat column. Taking on blocks like that, turning defenders, or excuse me, runners back inside so his teammates can rally for the tackle. He's just so good.
He had 19 tackles in that game against Missouri. Nussmeier pressured, flicks it out, got rid of it just in time to Josh Williams with the pocket collapsing. Danny Stutzman, top 10 in tackles in school history. He's a Butkus Award finalist. Sooners have already won that award a handful of times, and he is among Oklahoma elite, and that says something given the great linebackers they've had in Norman.
And Brent Venables didn't talk about the physical attributes or the stats. He said the passion he has for this game is what makes him special. It's what sets him apart.
Nussmeier took a shot after handing it off. Kip Lewis brings down Williams. This guy plays with his hair on fire.
I mean, look at this. Just how quickly he reads and diagnoses and takes on Will Campbell right there again. He's not going to get anything in the stat column, but he held up there so the running back couldn't cut backside, and someone else got the tackle.
Gold, the accoutrement, the neck roll, really helps him stand out, doesn't it?
Well, I think if he were to need to get play calls from the moon or Jupiter, he's got the satellite dish already on his shoulder pad, so he's good to go.
3rd and short for LSU, and we're going to stoppage.
You never know when those play calls are coming in from Jupiter.
Hey, the way college football's going, I wouldn't doubt alien life forms have their role in some of the regular season wraps up today. We're ready for ABC's College Football Conference Championship lineup. We start Friday night in the American at 8 Eastern, Army and the Green Wave of Tulane. And Saturday, it's a Dr. Pepper Big 12 title game at noon Eastern. Still to be figured out, followed by the SEC and finally the ACC championship game at 8 Eastern. And that Miami upset by Syracuse opened the door for Clemson to make it to the ACC championship game. They reviewed the spot. It's a first down for LSU after the review. Nussmeier pumps to the flat. Now looking for a go, and 2 guys right there, including C.J. Daniels.
For SEC fans, Clemson making that championship game. If they win that, how can you not look at South Carolina? I know there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but go, wait a minute.
It's too early for me to process all this.
It's unbelievable.
The Michigan-Ohio State game was stuck in the mud, and they were battling uphill for the whole time. What a rock fight, but it turned into a thriller. That players getting maced after the game. That was next level, huh? 2nd and 10 for LSU. Nussmeier after play action fires it incomplete. He took another hit. That time Kip Lewis was in his face mask.
Yeah, really good job by Kip Lewis, just kind of navigating. Emory Jones actually slides a little too far. Kip Lewis is able to just get off his shoulder and rush that throw. The window was there.
Great visit with Kip this week, talking about his pick 6 against Alabama. And I want to go back to that because, Jordan, you said he was in a position no quarterback would have expected him to be in. They're down 10 for LSU. Game's up front. Nussmeier lost the football, and it's scooped up by Oklahoma. Another defensive score. It belongs to R. Mason Thomas. Ball security has been an issue for both offenses. Grayson Halton forced it out, and R. Mason Thomas hit pay dirt with it.
Boy, I think one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the country, Grayson Halton, just running right through center DJ Chester, and R. Mason Thomas there to clean it up. This defense, they're opportunistic, they're aggressive. They anchored the upset last week against Bama and getting Oklahoma back into the game early here.
Zach Schmidt for the point after. And Oklahoma has tied it up with a defensive score that is 3 consecutive games that the OU defense has put points on the board. And their 4th defensive touchdown overall this season. That's best in the SEC and tied for 3rd in the country. The challenge for LSU and for Garrett Nussmeier has occurred in these moments like any quarterback. We saw it from Jackson Dart a week ago when he threw picks late in the Florida loss by Ole Miss, is to get him right back mentally after making a mistake like that.
Yeah, and he's kind of made like that. So some guys you really have to think about washing that play and focus on it and visualize. He's a gunslinger. We talked about it. This is kind of in his nature to flush that play and get back to it. I'm more concerned with this offensive line. We talked about so much how talented they are on the edges. Right now the interior is giving up a lot of pressure. Anytime a quarterback's got pressure in his face, that's a recipe for disaster, as we saw on that last play.
Aaron Anderson stays on his feet for a few more yards and takes it to the 21. We've mentioned the ups and downs of this season for LSU. It's a roller coaster, and head coach Brian Kelly in his 3rd year. The front of that coaster started with a touchdown loss at USC. 3rd straight loss season opener here. Then they rose to number 8 in the AP poll with that 6-game win streak, and then 3 straight losses. That's tied for the longest streak at LSU in a quarter century. Bounce back win against Vanderbilt last week had everybody feeling better. And happy Thanksgiving, all you turkeys out there.
Well, it's the frustration of this team when you come into a season with such lofty goals of making a playoff and making a run for a national championship, and you go on the 3-game skid that we just saw there. Wasn't sure what we were going to see last week against Vandy. Can you keep the motivation? Can you stay together as a team? There was a players-only meeting led by Nussmeier and Greg Penn and a couple other guys, including Will Campbell, and we saw a more inspired team-like performance last week, and that's what we need to see right here. How they respond against adversity is going to be important.
And not the least of which, part of the bad month for LSU wasn't just the 3 losses, but they also lost the #1 recruit in the nation, Bryce Underwood, to Michigan. Here's Caden Durham. Stutzman in there to blow him up at the end, and that'll bring up 3rd and long. Talking to Brian Kelly, and he outlined the ways that losing out on Underwood could open up more spending and salary cap spending for the rest of the roster, but most importantly, directly, Garrett Nussmeier knows what his spot is should he choose to return for LSU next year.
Yeah, what kind of pieces can they put around Garrett Nussmeier? I mean, this is an offense that's used to having a couple #1 or 1st-round draft picks on the outside. Last year, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas.
They got a few Biletnikovs sitting over there in the facility across the street. 3rd down 7. That's C.J. Daniels in motion. Nussmeier steps up, fires to the edge, and it's Mason Taylor. And he hauls it in for the catch. 15-yard gain for Taylor, gets up a little bit limpy.
Boy, just mentioned how important the protection was. One guy's going to drop, one guy's going to come, but it's a great job picking up by Josh Williams, a running back, stepping in that A-gap, knocking back the linebacker to give that clean pocket for Garrett Nussmeier to step up into. And when he's got a clean pocket, there's not many guys that are better in the entire country. But as I mentioned, with Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson, some of those guys inside, it's going to be a tough task to keep him clean tonight.
Taylor, one of 8 semifinalists for the Mackey Award, as the nation's best tight end. Nussmeier has time. Checks down again, and an open field tackle takes down Josh Williams.
So that's his 3rd check down already tonight. As I mentioned, had 5 last week for 64 yards. In talking to Zach Alley, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, he said, look, that's what we want him to do. And I know they had some success last week, but we want to take away the deep shots. We want to play top down, and we're such good tacklers. We have such faith in our 2nd level and 3rd level tacklers that we want them to check it down, and we'll rally and tackle in space, exactly what you saw right there.
Different plan of attack for LSU than against Vanderbilt when they attacked in the perimeter, and they had the better athletes, and they won those time and again. On the ground, up to the 45-yard line is Josh Williams. Williams, 90-yard game and a couple of touchdowns against Vanderbilt. They didn't have much explosiveness in this run game, but he had 2 touchdown runs of 20 yards or better last week.
He's just really tough to bring down. He's got 30 forced missed tackles on the year on just 95
He needs the
carries.
windshield wiper, though. His visor
Yeah, do they
got
make
dirty
those?
on the inside. Don't you have those on your Rolls Royce on the headlights?
Oh, come on. My golf cart, maybe.
Yeah. We're going to be finished with the first quarter.
That's the end of the
Oklahoma
first
with
period.
another defensive score in the first ever trip for the Sooners at Tiger Stadium, and we are locked at 7 early.
Coach Kelly, offense done some good things, kind of getting things on the perimeter, making the defense run a little bit. Just one protection that maybe fell apart. What do you need to see from this offense in this quarter?
Well, I mean, obviously we got to take care of the football. In that situation, we got to have 0 as the worst play there. You know, he got out of the pocket, and you know, they got a strip sack for, you know, touchdown. So, you know, we're playing well on defense. We're moving the ball on offense, and you know, those are the things that have hurt us all year. You know, and we just can't have them. You know, against a good football team, we got to come back here now and sustain this drive.
Thanks, Coach.
Michael, thanks. On third down, Josh Williams may be a football short, and the marker says 4th and less than a yard for LSU. What do you like here on 4th and short?
Well, analytics say you go. Josh Williams, tough to bring down. The first defender, I'd hand it off to him once again.
And forward progress to midfield has the first down. It was interesting hearing Brian Kelly talk to Cole about sustaining drives, because when we talked to this LSU coaching staff leading into the Vanderbilt game, one of their complaints about the offense was, we've had too many long drives. We need to be more explosive. We can't afford 12-play drives, and he goes down by R. Mason Thomas. The ball came out. It was pounced on by LSU, and Garrett Nussmeier is injured. He is holding his right shoulder. He got blasted by R. Mason Thomas.
Timeout for an injured offensive player.
Boy, that is not good to see. R. Mason Thomas, a lot of his body weight coming on top of Garrett Nussmeier there.
Nussmeier in obvious pain, kicking his right leg up.
That's one you just you can't avoid as a quarterback. You can't expect it to come that quickly, especially with Will Campbell over there protecting your blind side. But R. Mason Thomas is one of the best pass rushers in the entire SEC and got there so fast.
A.J. Swan is getting loose for LSU. Nussmeier, helped by the athletic training staff, is in real pain.
And we mentioned Will Campbell only giving up 1 sack in 900 some odd snaps. This time working on R. Mason Thomas. You see him right here, just gets beat with a speed rush right around the corner. Great job ripping through from R. Mason Thomas and coming down with all of his weight right there on that shoulder.
Landed directly on it, didn't he? Well, Nussmeier has taken the vast majority of the snaps at quarterback for LSU this year, and they turn it over to the Vanderbilt transfer Swan, who hands it off on 2nd and long, and Josh Williams stopped by Danny Stutzman.
Well, I thought A.J. Swan, when he transferred to LSU, was one of the better decisions for him and a great decision for LSU, because you got a guy that had started quite a few games in the SEC, super talented, just wanted to change the scenery, wanted an opportunity. And he's getting his opportunity here. He's played quite a bit of football, so it's not a new young kid coming in.
12 starts over 2 years with Vanderbilt. Grew for 22 touchdowns over those 2 years. He was an Under Armour All-America performer at Cherokee High School outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Double pump before getting rid of it to C.J. Daniels, who takes it past midfield. And LSU will punt it away after the injury to Nussmeier. Well, this certainly changes a lot for LSU in terms of its attack, and you would figure that even though it's a tie game right now, it'll change how Oklahoma thinks about time of possession and how many points you need to win this game, because I feel like it just shrunk by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's always an arms race when you see Garrett Nussmeier on the other side of the field. You know you got to put up points. And not to diminish A.J. Swann at all, because I just kind of sung his praises and his experience, but it's not Garrett Nussmeier. And so I do think you kind of rethink your offensive plan here if you're Joe John Finley for Oklahoma and get back to the ground and pound if you can.
Will Campbell going in to check on Garrett Nussmeier in the 10. Not a good scene for LSU. Oklahoma, LSU tied at 7. Well, this has a chance not just to impact this game, but a lot. Garrett Nussmeier taking a blindside hit from R. Mason Thomas. He was helped immediately to the training tent, and now the athletic training staff is taking Garrett Nussmeier back into the locker room, the north end of Tiger Stadium. Tied at 7, early second quarter in Baton Rouge. Gavin Sawchuk is in at running back now. And they go for a sweep. And Xavier Robinson, who came over from a slot, it's just past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I really like how Joe John Finley has kind of morphed this offense into 21 personnel, which is 2 running backs, 1 tight end. They mix it in and out quite a bit, but he's just trying to get his best players on the field. And really, their strength with all these receivers that have been out all year, their top 5 been out most of the entire year, getting multiple running backs and Bauer Sharp in and out of the backfield on the field together has really been their best weapon this year.
Andrell Anthony out tonight, Jaleel Farouk out, Deion Burks out with a concussion he suffered against Missouri. They have lost a lot of snaps at that wide receiver position. Xavier Robinson just shy of the 15 now.
And there was a chance that Andrell Anthony was going to be back tonight, which would have been a big boost. And without him, you kind of just get back to status quo.
Jackson Arnold and OU offense wanted to show tempo. Now it's a check with the sideline. Remember, coach to player communication cuts off at the 15-second mark. It's tight end Bauer Sharp off to the right. Still no QB runs, and that's blown up. What a hit by Braden Swinson on Robinson.
Boy, trying to do a little shovel pass with a puller from the backside. You're going to see a puller. Running back's going to come. And you're just going to get the quarterback trying to get this guy to widen. Braden Swinson, widens at first and redirects right into Xavier Robinson. That's a heck of a play on the outside. That's the guy they're going to leave unblocked. That's the guy they want to put in a bind. But when he's got some athleticism like that, tough to win.
3 and out for Oklahoma after the Nussmeier injury. Aaron Anderson, fair catch at the 40-yard line. It was a 46-yard punt. Kick off your Week 13 NFL Sunday with the Countdown Crew. They'll break down the big matchup between Saquon Barkley and the Eagles and Derrick Henry and the Ravens. It's Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN and the app. Monday night, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will be in Denver for our Week 13 Monday Night Football matchup. Jameis and the Browns take on Bo Nix and the 7-5 Broncos, 8 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Deportes.
Wait, how about the season Bo Nix is putting together?
I was going to let Cole talk about it. I know he's been impressed. It'll have to wait. A.J. Swann at quarterback. He's taken 1 snap all season coming into this game tonight. And Caden Durham is off to the races. A bend to the sideline. And the freshman tripped up at the 15 by Des Malone. A 50-yard sprint for the freshman from Oklahoma City, Caden Durham.
Watch the block there by number 50, Emory Jones, the right tackle. Really springs Caden Durham there. That's the boost this LSU offense needed, right? Your gunslinging quarterback goes out. You got a quarterback in that's a transfer, only 1 snap on the year coming into the game. Let's get this run game going.
That'll help. Two tight ends here. Swann directing traffic with Caden Durham next to him. And a timeout taken by LSU.
Final charge timeout, LSU.
Tigers have burned through all 3 in less than a quarter and a half.
30-second timeout.
So Garrett Nussmeier injured on the previous possession, taking a blindside hit from R. Mason Thomas, and the dance, Cole, between a tackle and a rush end is something that has some nuance to it. There's a little bit of chicken and egg here.
Well, it's all about setups. An offensive lineman can do it. The defensive lineman can do it. Usually, it's speed to power. Our Mason Thomas starts off with power, goes to the bull rush early. That sets up the speed rushes. Will Campbell obviously has to anchor just a little bit more to try to set up for that power rush, and then you see the speed to be able to get to the outside around one of the best LSU tackles we've seen in a long time. You're right, it's a cat and mouse game, Tom. It's playing chess, and Warren Mason Thomas was playing checkers early in this game.
He is 4th in the country with a 15% pressure rate. Handoff, Durham. No gain.
Thought you wanted to play chess, not checkers. Just messing with you, Cole.
Chicken or the egg?
I can't play chess,
sure.
so I'm going to go with the checker part of that.
Okay.
My brain power doesn't handle the chess.
2nd and 10, the first down available inside the 1.
You wonder how much the game plan changes, especially in critical areas down here like in the red zone, because Joe Sloan mentioned he wanted to target Mason Taylor down here in the red zone, C.J. Daniels. See if that's still part of the plan with A.J. Swan in at quarterback.
Well, they got big Trey'Nez Green at one slot and just over the head of Mason Taylor. Yeah, that leaves 3rd and 10.
And that was part of the plan, right? That they like their matchup against this really good Oklahoma defense, especially at that nickel Sam slot, that cheetah position sometimes, that extra safety. They like Mason Taylor. They like C.J. Daniels on that guy, so trying to attack it right there, and A.J. Swan just misses a little high.
Joe Sloan was a quarterback coach for the Heisman Trophy winner last year, Jaden Daniels. First year as the offensive coordinator here at LSU.
But you can already see a little bit of confusion with getting the signals, getting the play call in.
And the clock is late. It's at 1. It's at 0. And a timeout asked for by Swan. Flag came at the same time. They're out of timeouts.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. It is 3rd down.
Well, A.J. Swan thrown into emergency action tonight with the injury to Garrett Nussmeier. And you mentioned the delay. There's some responsibility for Joe Sloan to put A.J. Swan in the best position possible.
No doubt. And maybe that means shrinking the package a little bit, getting a little more simple, not going to the list of plays for the red zone that you had for Garrett Nussmeier, that may be a little more complex, maybe ask a little more out of the quarterback.
Start into 3rd and 15. 4-man rush for OU. Into the end zone and incomplete. Nearest receiver was Mason Taylor. That was over his head. And that'll bring on the kicking team.
Well, this is where having the iPads on the sideline is such a blessing for quarterbacks that haven't had a ton of experience, maybe in this offensive system, right? We talked about A.J. Swan, transfer from Vanderbilt. He's played a lot of football, but not a lot of game reps in this system. So get to the sideline, make some corrections, see what you're doing wrong, what the defense is doing, and see if you can't figure out a handful of plays to roll out next drive.
34-yard attempt for Damian Ramos. And on a chilly night in Baton Rouge, he bangs it through. 8:39 remaining in the first half. LSU back to be ready to work, including Alex, who's looks plenty warm. It doesn't even look chilly up there. And Russ, guys doing the hard work and on a busy weekend. Hey, Hoover's here. Let's get you to studios. We say good evening to Matt Perry.
Gentlemen, good evening. Happy SEC Saturday. Time for our All-State check. And a couple of highlights for you. Big one of the Big 12. Iowa State still trying to make it to the Big 12 championship. Rocco Beck to Jaden Higgins. They're up 7-0 on Kansas State. Also, Indiana. They get Purdue in the final week. They're making easy work of it. Curtis Ward to Keyshawn Williams. Right now, 14-0 Indiana over Purdue.
Oh, that just looks like a Big Ten game playing for the old Oaken Bucket.
I hope we get a playoff game up in the snow somewhere.
Well, the results the last couple of days, that might be eliminated. Arnold going deep and is caught with a little push-off to get some space. And credit J.J. Hester. It'll be a 50-yard gain.
Boy, this is something that Oklahoma just has not been able to connect on for most of the season. Little double move by J.J. Hester. Love how he works his head to the sideline. Little contact at the top of the route there, but fights through the contact, keeps his focus on the ball, and makes a heck of a play downfield.
It's a completed catch. The previous play is under further review.
They're going to take a further look at this and see if Hester controlled the catch through the ground. He had a career-high buck 12 against Maine a few games ago.
And he's really been their best option. The Mizzou transfer, with all those receivers that we mentioned going down, initially got his hands on it. Does the ball split there? I don't think so.
Well, saw the left hand come off for a minute, but I don't think it was enough to change the call.
That right hand's under it initially. Then it moves a little bit. I don't think it hits the ground. The left hand then secures it as he rolls over. I think that's a heck of a catch by J.J. Hester. Had some issues with drops earlier in the year. Remember talking to Jackson Arnold about that. He said, look, our confidence does not waver in him. The guy we've seen in practice is ready to step up and take the #1 wide receiver role here with all the injuries.
And he's had a lot of injuries that he's dealt with over the last couple of years. He's basically banged up all last year and suffered a broken foot the year prior, his first coming over from Missouri. And in that Maine game, at a 90-yard touchdown. That's the longest in Memorial Stadium history. Both of these stadiums, both Memorial Stadium and Norman.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's a catch.
And Tiger Stadium here in Baton Rouge celebrating their 100th year.
Well, I just can't reiterate how big stretching the field vertically is for this offense. Just haven't been able to do it very much at all. Last 2 games, only 1 completion, even traveling beyond 10 yards downfield, let alone 40, whatever it was there.
Arnold threw for a total of 68 yards against Alabama. Multiple flags pre-snap.
I mean, I just want that graphic to sink in a little bit. If you're sitting on your couch.
Illegal snap on the offense. Number 52. 5-yard penalty. It is first down.
If you're sitting on your couch, you're warmer than we are right now, but continue.
Yeah, Oklahoma last week in the upset against Alabama, in the game prior, only 1 completion traveled further than 10 yards downfield. That's insane. And you just had a huge upset against Alabama, and you didn't need to throw it downfield, but
they diced him on the ground, especially behind Arnold. On 1st and 15, Arnold's first QB run, and he's going to take this one for a first down and inside the 5. This is what works so effectively against the Tide. 28-yard gain, and they hurry to get on the line. 1st and goal, Sooners. Robinson plunges in for the Oklahoma score. And the Sooners bounce back in front.
Boy, that previous play really sprung it back to the ground with Jackson Arnold. Watch Greg Penn, the backside linebacker. He's going to have 2 offensive linemen pulling towards him, but he's going to get his eyes caught in the backfield right here. Watch him get his eyes caught on Xavier Robinson right here, and he's going to work this way and get out of position. And Jackson Arnold goes back door. Cameraman got lost there as well. And Jackson almost lost it there at the goal line. What a heck of a play call. And another big run from Jackson Arnold.
Zach Schmidt pounds through the point after. For Jackson Arnold, his 4th rushing touchdown of the season against Alabama. He tore up the Tide on the ground, and he's able to set the stage for that touchdown run. Sooners with the lead.
No. Can't wait to find out who's going to be there, though. Texas A&M going on right now.
Yeah, they're scoreless.
Winner will go face Georgia.
Aaron Anderson bursts free. Anderson trying to race down the sidelines. Got a convoy. Aaron Anderson will take it the distance. Anderson. Anderson was a role player last year behind some awfully productive wide receivers at LSU. He started to break out in fall camp, and he has been the most explosive receiver. And now Brent Venables knows he's the most explosive returner. Point after is good, and LSU with a quick answer to bring Death Valley alive.
Boy, don't go to the ticket office and ask for a refund. This may be a blockbuster yet. Watch this block here. A little snowplow. Boom! Get out of the way. Tosses an Oklahoma defender and plows the road for Aaron Anderson. Great blocking downfield by Josh Williams as well. And another block to seal it. That is quite the answer from this LSU team.
Let me tell you, I've had so much fun this weekend, and especially last with the college football chaos and playoff teams and our focus on the college football playoff. Obviously, we do it for a reason. But games like this still matter. Even though neither one of these teams is going to be in the CFP, they're probably looking forward to next season in some regard from a fan base perspective. But that's a first kickoff return for a score in 4 years for LSU. And 100,000 people here got on their feet.
You remember when you used to just kind of play for bragging rights and pride, you know, before the college football playoff and all these implications? These are two storied programs in college football history, two of the most accomplished ever, duking it out here under the lights in Death Valley. You better believe there's a lot on the line for these guys on the field.
Time for our drive recap, covered by Geico. The last time Oklahoma's offense was on the field, here's what they put together.
Well, it was the deep shot downfield to J.J. Hester, something Oklahoma has not been able to find, and then you get back to the ground game, which worked so well last week against Alabama. 131 yards on the ground for Jackson Arnold last week, and then Xavier Robinson, the true freshman, seals off the drive. That felt like the answer. Garrett Nussmeier goes out with an injury. Oklahoma drives down the field, punches it in, and then all of a sudden the kickoff return.
And by the way, up note, we didn't even get a chance to show you, Garrett Nussmeier's out of the locker room. He was going to come in, we think, play quarterback that possession. They get 7 without him. Arnold looking to throw on first down. Incomplete. Trying to find Zion Reagans. And that leaves 2nd and 10.
Boy, not sure how you didn't just dial up another quarterback run to start this drive. I mean,
2nd and 10, 25.
They're 1 for 1 for about 30-something yards so far.
Well, John Finley has reinvented this offense, and a fantastic job after they struggled a good chunk of the season. Turnovers were the main issue. Here's your quarterback run, and Arnold turns on the Jets to pick up a Sooner first down.
Yeah, this time, not a design quarterback run, a zone read. Jackson Arnold's going to be reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. Savion Jones makes the right decision there.
Play action. Found his man on the edge. It's Reagans. To the point a moment ago, after John Finley took over, they are 8 points a game better and 100 yards a game better. Now, part of that was a blowout of FCS Maine. But also, if you're going to mention Maine, you got to mention Alabama.
Yeah, I like what he's doing with the running backs and the quarterback runs, but I also love how he's kind of put the tempo and the fast pace back in this offense.
2nd and 2, Xavier Robinson picks it up.
Sticking with that offensive continuity, keep in mind this offensive line has now been together for 3 consecutive games, and that includes a bye week. We had Oklahoma a couple times earlier. They went through 6 different offensive line combinations in the first 6 games, not to mention other injuries in the preseason in which those guys weren't able to operate together. They've had 3, 4, 5 weeks of actually practicing together. That continuity's made a big difference.
I thought maybe Michael Tarquin would come back tonight. He may be available, but Spencer Brown starting at right tackle. That one off the hands of Xavier Robinson.
And that's 2 redshirt freshmen also, Tom. So those guys, they're not really familiar with college football the first month of the season. Those guys hadn't operated together, hadn't played in a ton of games, so they've able to get more practice time, able to get more physical work in. Makes a big difference when you've worked with the guy next to you for multiple games.
Yeah, it was 8 different starting offensive line combinations over the first 9 games. Unbelievable. It led to a game against South Carolina where the Gamecocks came up with 9 sacks on 9 different Gamecocks. Arnold will scramble again, and he's able to weave his way down the field. And that's good enough for a first down for Oklahoma.
And this right here is a great example of Jackson Arnold 2.0. This is him listening to his feet, understanding that internal clock, nothing there, take off and run. And I think he credits Kevin Johns, a new quarterback coach that kind of got elevated after Seth Littrell left and Joe John Finley took over the offensive coordinator position. Really started hammering home footwork, timing, rhythm. I think Jackson Arnold's been a different player since that transition.
Johns was last the OC at Duke. Arnold on the run. What a throw, and he puts it on a dime to Jacob Jordan. And that's good for an Oklahoma first down and a gain of 17. Jordan didn't play the first 6 games. He has come alive late.
Yeah, the true freshman walk-on. Makes a great effort there on the sideline. I believe his knee was down. I think that's a really good catch. But to your point, with all these injuries really came on, and Joe John Finley kind of, he says, look, I don't want to go too far, but I see a little bit of Drake Stoops in him. His ability to operate in the slot, elite route runner, and good hands, as you saw there.
He was 4th string in the spring. Arnold bouncing and gets bounced. Whit Weeks, one of the top tacklers in the SEC, he's delivering 9.5 tackles a game. Took Arnold over to the OU sideline.
Yeah, we've talked a lot already tonight about these linebackers from Oklahoma, Danny Stutzman in particular, but Whit Weeks is one of the best in the SEC as well. His ability to go sideline to sideline, as you see right here, working downhill and then adjusting laterally to bring down Jackson Arnold.
Weeks had 35 tackles over 2 games against Alabama and Ole Miss. Second and 11. They're into it.
Yeah, they're really getting into it now.
Oklahoma takes its first timeout of the half.
Weeks,
32nd timeout.
8th in the country in tackles. Brent Venables in Oklahoma with a 3rd consecutive game with a defensive score, and now they're trying to get the offense rolling. But before, let's get a quick word from Verbo.
Defenses so far have been stingy, and that really showed in the...
Done?
Look, if you want a house without a host, you should have booked a Verbo. Like I was saying, both teams have really good defenses, and it really showed in the second half.
I think we're getting Coach Saban to come out of his shell now that he's retired.
I love those commercials. The one where he's in the hot tub. It's so good.
2nd and 11 for Jackson Arnold. What does the quarterback run game do to the rest of the offense?
Well, it opens everything up. Those eyes of the second-level defenders, the linebackers, and the safeties start to peek in the backfield. And that opens up some of those explosive plays downfield, as we saw earlier to J.J. Hester.
Arnold Chandler, Logan Howland, redshirt freshman left tackle. Gavin Sawchuk loses a yard. Sawchuk returned against Alabama after missing 4 games. It's been a rotation of about 4 different guys in the Oklahoma backfield. Taylor Tatum, the talented freshman, has been bothered by turnover issues. That opened the door for Xavier Robinson to come on strong. 3rd down, 12 on the road at Tiger Stadium. Quarterback draw. Arnold bottled up and dropped. Whit Weeks, first man there. Xavier Suggs helped him out.
Javar Suggs right here is going to really stonewall Wee-Woo and give Arnold nowhere to go. Look at that. Doesn't give up an inch. That's supposed to hit right off that guard's hip there. As you see, trying to open up a hole, and Suggs just closed it quick.
So Zach Schmidt on for a 44-yard attempt. It is chilly tonight, temperature in the upper 30s, but not much of a breeze to speak of. And that one's good, and we are tied at 17. Well, Oklahoma is coming off of a major upset against Alabama. Let's take a look back at how the Sooners pulled it off.
Venables says everybody loves to be an underdog. Anything is possible. Xavier Robertson headed to the pylon, dives, touchdown Oklahoma.
They're starting to believe here.
A stunner brewing in Norman. Pick six, and that should be the dagger. Here comes a Sooner stampede. Oklahoma crushes Alabama. You never know in college football.
It's a top 10 win at home, first since 2017 when they knocked off TCU, and a rare storming of the field at Memorial Stadium in Oklahoma. Chance for a return. He took the last one back 100. And a spin at the 20. And Aaron Anderson moving the entire pile out to the 33-yard line. He has given LSU a big lift, and Cole, it looks like Garrett Nussmeier is trying to do the same, back from what we thought was a major shoulder injury.
It is confirmed from the LSU athletic department that it was a shoulder injury. Took him to the locker room for further evaluations, afraid there could have been further damage, but Nuss came back in, saw an exchange between he and Coach Kelly, said, I am expletive throwing the football.
Well, no communication like direct communication. Nussmeier hands it off to take us to the 2-minute timeout. What a thriller we have here tonight at Tiger Stadium. It is a blockbuster battle between Oklahoma and LSU, and banged up Garrett Nussmeier trying to will the Tigers to a late score.
I'm Matt Barry, coming up with the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. Got the Lone Star Showdown tonight in the great state of Texas between Texas and Texas A&M. Plus, Ohio State goes down fighting to Michigan. And gentlemen, you know this. It's Rivalry Saturday. Anything can happen, and it has. Dan Mullen, Joey Galloway join me coming up on the Mercedes-Benz halftime reports.
All right, Matt, thanks. And we're not done yet. A couple of yards there to set up 3rd and 4. And we're not yet the conference championship weekend. There could be more waiting on the back end next week. Garrett Nussmeier with a shoulder injury went back to the LSU locker room. He could barely move that right arm. They got him fixed up, and he was ripping some passes getting loose. See if he puts it in the air here on 3rd and 4. They bring pressure, and he finds his tight end, Mason Taylor, out of bounds after picking up the first.
Boy, talking about another guy that's not quite 100%. Mason Taylor's been banged up. Didn't practice much at all last week. Practiced a little bit more this week. Not quite 100%. So, hey, man, Garrett Nussmeier toughing it out there.
Nussmeier 11 of 16 tonight. Touch pass to the logo, and Josh Williams with a spin makes it into Oklahoma territory.
Don't want to be a complete broken record, but it is the 4th check down that Garrett Nussmeier has hit, and that one for 8 yards, and puts him in a great position here on 2nd short.
Well, probably elevates the importance too. He does have a shoulder injury that may bother him, and he fires one complete to Taylor, whose dad is the Pro Football Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. And we're under a minute. LSU, remember, out of timeouts. Used all 3 in the first quarter. 4-man rush for OU. Nussmeier going deep. It is caught! Chris Hilton. 40-yard strike. somehow Garrett Nussmeier dropped it right in the basket.
We've been wondering when this shot play was going to come. Targeting Chris Hilton, working on Eli Bowen, Oklahoma's best quarterback, but a quarterback that's only 5'9". So they like the jump ball there. Chris Hilton brings it down. Eli Bowen tries to rip it away late there, but what a catch by a guy that has struggled as of late, especially on routes like that, and especially in jump ball situations.
Ryan Kelly was talking about it with us this week, trying to coach him up not to leave his feet. And he did a little bit.
He did a little bit.
Did a little bit. Not too much. 66-yard drive. 40 of them coming on the pass to Chris Hilton.
I mean, the fact that Garrett Nussmeier just went to the injury tent, went to the locker room with what looked like a really bad shoulder injury on his throwing arm, and comes back and just rips it 45, 50 yards downfield to Chris Hilton. I mean, that's a 50-some-odd yard throw from the far hash, right on the money. And you mentioned it, Chris Hilton got a lot of flack from this coaching staff, and we saw the sideline antics and the coaching because of the opportunities he had where he left his feet when he didn't need to. Or he jumped way too early, which resulted in incomplete deep shots that very well should have been completed. That time, right on the back hip, leaves his feet a little bit, but secures the catch when LSU needed it most right before half here for a big statement drive.
Pocket-footed freshman Aaron Burrell will kick it off. Over the head of Sam Franklin, and no return for Oklahoma. 45 seconds left in the half. You're Joe John Finley. How do you handle this last 45 seconds? You have 2 timeouts.
You get 2 timeouts, so you need to have a sense of urgency. You could maybe mix in a quarterback run or some kind of run if you wanted to start this drive. But you better feel really good about it. And if it doesn't hit big, probably got to call that first timeout and then start to lean on Jackson Arnold's arm. A name that we haven't really called tonight for Oklahoma, Bauer Sharp, their tight end, best player. I don't think he has a single reception yet tonight. I'd expect them to target him on this drive.
Weeks in on the stop of Gavin Sawchuk.
Now you got to use that first timeout. Unless you're not going to attempt to put together a drive here, which looks like Oklahoma is going to be content to go to halftime.
Well, Arnold has already thrown for more yards in this first half than he did all last week against Alabama. Remember, OU gets the second half kickoff.
I'd love to see them just maybe throw a screen pass, something to the outside to see if you can get, I don't know, 15, 20 yards, and then maybe put together a drive. Instead, you just hand it off, and they're going to get the ball after half. So I understand that, but you hear the crowd. That's going to be a lot of momentum LSU's taking into halftime because of how things just transpired in the last minute.
First ever regular season matchup between Oklahoma and LSU. It has not disappointed through one half. LSU 24, Oklahoma 17. To the studio with Dan Mullen and Joey Galloway. Here's Matt Berry. The SEC on ESPN. First ever trip for the Sooners here to Death Valley in a battle of quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold's been running the ball well. Garrett Nussmeier back from injury.
Yeah, this is where it felt like the game could really change in favor of Oklahoma. You see him trot off there with no pads on it, look bad. Then he comes out slinging it on the sideline and drops one 50 yards downfield to Chris Hilton to take the lead after Oklahoma had just drove down. Big run from Jackson Arnold and scored. LSU and Garrett Nussmeier had the answer.
No return here for Oklahoma. It's a 24-17 game as we start the third quarter. Tom Hart with Jordan Rogers, Cole Kublik down on the field. How about the play of Jackson Arnold here late in the season? He ran the ball so well last week against Bama.
Yeah, and he's really been everything for Oklahoma tonight as well. Just 18 rushing yards outside of Jackson Arnold's legs. They need to get something going on the ground that doesn't involve him. Xavier Robinson needs to get going because everything in this offense is predicated on running the football, RPOs, and play action off that. They got to get it going outside of Jackson Arnold.
7 of OU's points came from the defense. Meanwhile, LSU had a kick return for a score. We've seen a little bit of everything so far tonight. On nearly a busted play, Xavier Robinson fights for a yard. Cole caught up with Brent Venables. Cole, what'd you learn?
Asked him about the offensive success late in the first half. He said, we've got to keep those quarterback runs going, stay in a rhythm offensively. He said he loves what he's seen defensively other than giving up explosive plays. Have to find ways to limit those in the second half if Oklahoma's going to find a way to get a win.
To your point about the QB run game, Jackson Arnold averaging nearly 9 yards a carry, and that includes a 28-yard run.
Also, I mentioned it before halftime. Haven't gotten the ball to Bauer Sharp, their tight end, just off the hip of the left tackle.
Instead, they swing it out to Jacob Jordan, and he's immediately surrounded. Zy Alexander, first man there.
And Bauer Sharp, he's their leading receiver, 320 yards. He's been the go-to guy for Jackson Arnold. Surprising to see a whole half go without him getting involved.
Hasn't been targeted yet. Well documented all the injuries that OU's had from the wide receiver position. Sharp will walk out to the slot top of the formation. 3rd down 8. Five-man rush. Arnold gets out of there. And now he's got room to rumble. And a beautiful block downfield. Xavier Robinson freed him for another 10 on a 16-yard run.
Yeah, Whit Weeks is the one off the right side that brings the initial pressure. Jackson does a great job of stepping up, getting skinny, breaking an arm tackle there and using his legs to pick up another big first down. And Xavier Robinson getting involved downfield, getting some hands on Gilbert as well.
Robinson tries to cut it back upfield, but the edge set by Greg Penn, senior out of DeMatha, the Baltimore product. Trying to fill in. Remember, this is an LSU team that had All-American Harold Perkins lost for the year early in the season. Penn in the first game without Perkins went for a career-high 14 tackles. In the contest against South Alabama, that feels like a season ago. Perkins was injured 3rd week of the year against UCLA. On 2nd and 11. Arnold has it, trying to outrun Swinson, who escorts him out of bounds. You know, we talked with this Oklahoma coaching staff after Jackson Arnold was benched, and they said one of the things that's impressed us is he has just gone about his business the same as if he were a starter. Brent Venables had a long chat with him after that. And that preparation helped him when he regained the starting job. Sooners 1 for 5 on 3rd down tonight.
How wide these receivers are at the bottom of the screen. They're creating a lot of space right here.
Oklahoma called the timeout for the snap. Not only were they spread out wide, but they're trying to shift and get guys moved around. A little too much traffic. Sooners use an early timeout prior to 3rd and 8. Back in a moment. First ever regular season meeting between Oklahoma and LSU. And a 3rd down coming up for OU. Jackson Arnold's been the main cog in their run game the last 2 games, but even so tonight. Averaging nearly 9 yards a carry.
And LSU's going to stack the line of scrimmage. They're going to drop these guys out, and I think they're going to play drop 8 here.
Got a spy on Arnold. Can't quite get to him. Hangs a U-turn. Fires out of bounds.
Boy, so they don't drop 8 into coverage, but they keep Whit Weeks there and another guy spying Jackson Arnold. Blake Baker, defense coordinator for LSU, is realizing, as everybody else is, the offense is running through Jackson Arnold's legs right now. If he can take that away on 3rd down, take away the scrambling ability, it's going to be tough sledding for Oklahoma.
Luke Elzinga, top 10 in the nation in average yards per punt. Gets it away clean. And a fair catch taken at the 12-yard line. Moments ago, Cole Kublik caught up with it. LSU head coach Brian Kelly.
Coach Kelly, how do you even begin to describe Garrett Nussmeier going to the locker room, can't move his arm, no shoulder pads on, then he's back on the field throwing a 57-yard touchdown pass?
Well, he's a tough kid, and he wants to be on this field. This is his dream, to play here at LSU, and he was going to do whatever's necessary. Our doctors took a look at him. X-rays were negative, and yeah, I said, listen, if you can't go, if you're not 100%, don't go in there. He goes, Coach, I can throw it, I can play.
He is a coach's son. Football is his lifeblood, and they try to run it but find nothing. In fact, Garrett Nussmeier moved 12 times through 8 different states and Canada, but he and his family always came back home to Lake Charles, Louisiana in the summers. His dad, now a quarterback coach with the Eagles, had been with the Cowboys a previous stop after being Walter Payton Award winner as a 1AA Player of the Year in Idaho. Second down 12. Pressure. And blown up as soon as it's caught. Billy Bowman all over Caden Durham.
And it was really the pressure that Oklahoma brings. Danny Stutzman, Kip Lewis are both going to come. Stutzman comes free. And Garrett Nussmeier's got to get rid of this ball quick. Really good job. I think that's going to be the plan for Zach Alley in this Oklahoma defense. Really need to start forcing the issue and really testing Garrett Nussmeier. And how good does that shoulder feel? Going to blitz him and see if they can't get a body on him. Make him a little uncomfortable.
Swing out to Durham with a wide receiver screen. Good blocking from Taylor. And Durham takes it for an LSU first down. 14-yard pickup. Did they simply win the numbers game on that one?
Yeah, they did. They went a little bit of tempo, so they got 4 guys to one side. Danny Stutzman trying to adjust somebody late. The numbers, it was 4-on-3. LSU's advantage. So quick little throw, body on a body, and you get Caden Durham in space.
It's like a wrinkle Joe Sloan may have added early this week. First down, LSU runs it behind Josh Williams. And LSU staying ahead of the pace. This is an Oklahoma defense that came in 15th in the country against the run. And top 20 defense overall. Danny Stutzman and company do a lot of things well, not the least of which is causing havoc and getting takeaways. 3 straight games with a defensive touchdown for the Sooners. Play action on 2nd and 5. Out of the backfield, Williams taken down by the first man and had nowhere to go. Robert Spears Jennings, junior out of Broken Arrow High School in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Nussmeier limping a little bit after that play as well. Got knocked up back just a little bit.
And I think he was kind of limping around before that snap too. It almost looked like he was tapping his feet to stay warm, but he is obviously well less than 100%.
Remember, R. Mason Thomas was the one that put that big hit on Garrett Nussmeier. He's at the top right here working on Will Campbell once again.
Face forward at the other end. They almost got to him with 4. Now Nussmeier to run, and he dives forward. And he stumbles his way to an LSU first down. He told us, I've got to learn when to run. It cost us against Ole Miss.
Watch, R. Mason Thomas is going to try the speed rush again on Will Campbell, but watch the adjustment. See how much depth he gets on those first 2 kicks. And a great job by Garrett Nussmeier. We've been talking about the checkdowns, but Joe Sloan mentioned because Oklahoma is a match zone team versus last week, Vanderbilt's a traditional zone team where they spot drop, they get to a spot, and they keep eyes on the quarterback. A match zone team, they're going to follow receivers, and it almost ends up being man coverage. So sometimes the best option is for the quarterback to take off and run, which he did right there for a good pickup.
He is not feeling great. Neither is Grayson Halton. He is the injured Sooner. Nearly midway through the 3rd quarter, and a thriller brewing here in Baton Rouge. First meeting between these two. Bud Wilkinson's Oklahoma team blanked number 9 LSU in the 1950 Sugar Bowl. There was some drama involved in that. Bud Wilkinson got a phone call at his hotel. They were training in Biloxi. That there were some guys spying on their practice. So found a cop the next day. They went over to the garage, and a couple of guys were over there. Indeed, Piggy Barnes, who was with the Eagles, a former LSU lineman, and Goober Morse, who was a fan closely associated with the athletic department, were both spying on Oklahoma. I think if you get in a situation where Piggy and Goober are spying on you,
I think you don't really worry about it.
Just let it pass.
Yeah, just, you know,
and you know
whatever you guys think you got, good luck.
There's a lot of things in society that have gotten better in the last 70 years. Nicknames are not one of them.
No, we need more Goobers and Piggies. We have a delay in the field right now. There's an injured official in the trainer's tent on the LSU sideline right now.
I was giving that Garrett Nussmeier treatment in there. He'll be back in no time.
I mean, it was pretty amazing. The Garrett Nussmeier looked like something may have been a separated shoulder to come back in your throwing shoulder and then uncork a 40-yard pass.
I did hear Brian Kelly tell the LSU radio crews that it was a clavicle, and they were concerned about further damage. He had an x-rayed, and he was cleared after having those x-rays.
Yeah, I mean, I was really worried seeing it initially that it was a broken clavicle. I mean, I didn't want to say it, but that's what you think when you fall with somebody on top of you like that. So glad all the x-rays came back negative, and glad he's out there fighting through a little bit of pain.
So here's the change with the officials. Matt Leffler has been our referee throughout this game. He's in the tent. And so Jason MacArthur, the center judge, will take over as the referee and assume the white hat. So they're playing a man down.
How many second string reps do you think he got in practice this week?
Well, I had a great visit with him before the game, and he was really excited about this contest.
Jason's great. He's worked plenty of these games. We know him well.
But do you think they just share the same hat, or do you think he's got a white hat in his bag?
No, he's got to have his own.
Nussmeier slings it to the perimeter. Kyron Lacey with a burst. And that's a first down for LSU on a pickup of 17. So these officials, by the way, they can go one less and change the mechanics a little bit. They'll only be the referee in the backfield. But otherwise, something that they train for and are well accustomed to. First and 10. LSU with a 7-point lead past the midway point of the third quarter. Nussmeier going deep again. It is caught. Chris Hilton a second time. 45-yard strike. What a performance by Garrett Nussmeier. 2 touchdown passes of 40 yards or greater after the shoulder injury.
It's just been bombs away. Chris Hilton. Fall camp, he was supposed to be the guy. He was going to be the go-to deep threat, so dynamic, elite speed. Missed a lot of the first half of the season and then have had his struggles tracking the ball downfield. 2 massive catches here in this game for huge gains and touchdowns.
But a long talk with Brian Kelly about coaching up Chris Hilton. Here's a look at the grab and making sure he had it secured.
Boy, and these aren't easy catches either. Ball moves a little bit, but I think his hand was underneath it as he impacted the ground. What a catch.
Damian Ramos with the point after that heated exchange between Brian Kelly and Chris Hilton. And Kelly assuring us it was all about coaching. We've been working with them in practice time and again. Don't leave your feet. You're a good enough receiver. Run through it, and you'll come up with those catches. And they have worked for Hilton tonight. This is back at A&M. This is where it first started percolating. And BK telling us, listen, it wasn't just in-game, it was in practice. And we tried to hammer that home to him, and then it bubbled over the top in the Florida game. And Brian Kelly getting his attention. And the point is, it may look like one thing at home, but this is what it's supposed to look like now after you get the guy coached up.
Yeah, these type of throws, he was jumping way too early, sometimes even coming down as the ball was still not quite to him. He's done a great job of adjusting twice to two different types of throws. One on the back hip that he adjusted to for the first touchdown, and that one running through it to make sure he secured it all the way to the ground. What a big night for Chris Hilton Jr. It's great to see.
He's had to fight through injuries throughout his career as a Tiger. It's the 4th game of 3 touchdown passes or more for Garrett Nussmeier this year. And now Oklahoma facing a healthy deficit.
Yeah, but this is where if you're Joe John Finley, the ops coordinator for Oklahoma, you can't change your game plan because you're not a team that's built to be a drop back passing team, to come from behind. So you got to look at that scoreboard and go, hey, we can't get all 14 points back in the next 5 or 6 minutes. We need to chip away, put some longer drives together, get some momentum, get back to the ground game, and see if you can't cut this lead before the 4th quarter.
Arnold on the run, delivers on time, and a turn upfield by Jacob Jordan, who is offensive coordinator. Joe John Finley refers to as Frosty. Said he showed up. Was impressed by his frosted tips.
I had frosted tips back in the day.
Leffler is on the sideline. It's Matt Leffler, who started the game as the referee. We'll wait and see if he returns to action out of the tent. Xavier Robinson, why'd you go away from the frosted tips?
Well, you know, it was big, and in high school the boy bands were going, and I was like, let's just bleach my hair and see what happens.
Strike me as a puka shell kind of guy.
Oh, I had the puka shells rocking as well. I was also about 5'2", so it was just not a good look all the way around. You know, I'm glad I shaved the head quickly after.
You've grown into your hair nicely. 2nd and 7. Jackson Arnold was the Gatorade National Football Player of the Year. Coming out of high school, #1 dual threat quarterback. Pressured, got rid of it. Robinson will set up a 3rd and about 4. And Jackson Arnold acclimating well to pressure in the pocket. A lot of traffic around.
Yeah, the ball's just come out of his hands quickly. You're going to see the pressure come from the left side. Logan Howland working on Savion Jones. Jones almost gets there, but that clock in Jackson Arnold's head has been moving faster since he got sat down on the bench for 3 weeks. I think he's really focused on his preparation, mental preparation, knowing his answers and where to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible.
Third down 4. Here's another step up and a run for a 1st down for Arnold.
Well, that's a great job. You just go empty, so everybody's going to vacate with this. Nobody's going to be left here. And so Arnold does a great job of just stepping up, seeing that vacancy. And that was the thing he told us, because we had him a few weeks ago when he really just got back into the lineup. He said, I'm going 1 to 2, and if it's not there, I'm running. And through that, he's protecting the football, and obviously his legs and the run game improving as well.
The throw on 1st down. Nope, he's going to run it again. And part of that, I'm sure, frustration at the outset about being benched kind of flipped and did a 180 when he came back. He told us, he said, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself every day, but I see the game better. And at this point, I feel like I got nothing to lose. So weight off my shoulders, I can just go out and have fun. And no doubt that Bama game was a lot of fun.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of redemption for him in a way, I think, for the roller coaster ride that's been this season, the accolades that he came to this program with.
Gavin Sawchuk finds a gap.
The expectations. I mean, we did the bowl game at the end of the year, and although it didn't turn out the way they wanted to, there was a lot of promise and hope around Jackson Arnold, what this offense could be, and it didn't live up to the expectations early, but we're starting to see a much better version of this offense and Jackson Arnold at the close of the season.
This will be the 7th play of the drive that follows. There's a 3rd touchdown pass of the night from Garrett Nussmeier. LSU brings 4. And there's the first catch of the game for Bowers Sharp. Talented tight end, former quarterback who played at Southeastern Louisiana to start his college career.
And that's the matchup they want. They had a one-on-one with Whit Weeks, and as talented as Whit Weeks is, he's much better downhill going after the run than he is in space and coverage. Not that he's bad, but that was right where Jackson Arnold looked, and the matchup they've been looking for.
Second and 6, fling to Bauer. He can throw it, former quarterback, but he heaves it while he's in the grasp, and it's picked off. A blind toss that Sage Ryan comes up with. Ill-advised throw by Bauer Sharp after being pressured by Stamps.
Boy, just going for a trick play. The offensive line is going to, the entire offensive line
downfield. Number 52 offense. Penalties decline. First down.
Is going to fake cut block. They're all going to drop to their bellies as Jackson Arnold flips this to the outside, trying to set up the throwback. Watch this whole group is going to drop to their belly. Arnold's going to leak back this way, but watch Braden Swinson right here. Watch him sniff that out. And as Bauer Sharp turns to throw it back, Swinson's there and just makes a critical mistake. No one cares if that's a 5-yard loss. That's okay. You're trying to roll the dice, trying to hit something big. If it's not there, just go to the ground. You can't make a bad play worse. And right there, a critical mistake by Bauer Sharp.
For Ryan, his first pick of the season. Nussmeier out of the backfield finds Anderson. All-around performance for LSU. Nussmeier's success with the deep ball, a 100-yard kickoff return for a score. And Garrett Nussmeier is 20 for 25 for 228 and 3 touchdowns.
Boy, that's after going 28 of 37 for 332 last week. He's playing so efficient right now.
And one thing that this coaching staff stresses is, well, Nussmeier has been around. This is his first year as a starter. Oklahoma brings 4. Nussmeier incomplete. Now, compare that to some of the other great quarterbacks. Joe Burrow transferred in from Ohio State. He really struggled his first year here before they brought in Joe Brady. They reinvented the offense, and then he was able to kind of find his rhythm. I remember we met with Joe Burrow early in the 2019 season. He had it out for you, which is a second story. But this is 2018 Joe Burrow. That's what he was. Those were his numbers. And Nussmeier, a much more comfortable position.
And I think I ranked Joe Burrow going into that next season at like the 9th best quarter, 8th or something in the SEC, because he just wasn't very good the year before.
He knew what you said, too. Nussmeier.
That's the competitor he is.
He's going to scramble and dives past the 50. And they will mark it just shy of the first down. And that'll bring up 4th and less than 1. And I don't think Nussmeier's leaving the field.
No, we saw him hobbled a little bit last drive. Great job escaping pressure there. And boy, that ball's out front. That really looked like he might have got that first down.
Well, they're going to go for it. They go the jumbo package, extra tight ends. Josh Williams is the running back. And Williams gets through for the first down. I want to go back to that Burrow conversation. You had him rated really low. We came in to meet with him early in the 19 season, and he was just staring daggers through you. And he said, hold on a second. I don't like what you said. He goes, well, you know, I didn't think you did A well. And he goes, I didn't. I didn't think you did B well. Well, I didn't. I didn't think you did C well. Well, I didn't. He goes, well, unless you have a new offense. And he goes, but we have a new offense.
Yeah.
We got Joe Brady, and they brought out the playbook, and we went, man, they might have a big year.
And that was a cool moment, right? You saw the competitor. He even said, man, I remember you pointed to one interception and said, I was lucky it didn't, or a touchdown. I was lucky it didn't get picked off. I was like, well, yeah, there was a guy right there. He goes, yeah, I didn't like that you said that, though. And I just loved it. You know, it's just, I mean, he's such a competitor. It was fun to sit down with him. And you're right. They had a whole new offense, and we didn't know just how good he was going to be. I don't think anybody did. And obviously the rest is history.
A big night for Garrett Nussmeier, 20 of 26, 228. And he's thrown for 3 touchdowns, doing it all with a bum shoulder. Not afraid to put the body on the line. He was limping around, but no more. And LSU's got a first down when we return. He told us, we looked at the menu and said, we'll just take one of everything. It's a way to celebrate a win. Nussmeier going deep down the sideline, wide open. Pimpton inside the 10. Bowman trying to rip it away, and he ends up inside the 5. A 42-yard catch by Kamorian Pimpton.
Well, it's just a great job. A little post wheel catches Oklahoma in cover 3. So that corner to the top, Jacoby Johnson, he's trying to midpoint that seam route there by C.J. Daniels. And Billy Bowman in trail coverage on the wheel route. Just too late, and another explosive play for LSU.
Not much for Josh Williams. Samuel Omosigo with the stop. And that'll bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. LSU trying to parlay that turnover into some points on the other end after the interception by Sage Ryan.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
Garrett Nussmeier is having another monster game. He's already thrown for 270 yards, and that was after he left the game with a shoulder injury. Guys, college football playoff top 25 rankings. Reese and the guys will break them down from top to bottom. And live interview with committee chair Ward Manuel, the Michigan athletic director. They've had a celebration today. They'll also project the 12-team field at 7 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Garth Brooks takes us into the 4th quarter. Garrett Nussmeier takes a snap before the music ended, and by law,
before the snap, timeout was called. Oklahoma.
By law, you got to finish Garth Brooks. Oklahoma know that. They use a timeout. Well, it has been complete chaos in college football, and we would have it no other way.
As this chaotic regular season comes to a close, do we truly understand what's about to be unleashed? 11 CFP games instead of 3, 4 rounds instead of 2, college football in late January. So no, none of us is ready, but all of us are here for it.
For it indeed as we move forward towards the college football playoff. Upsets galore throughout the entire weekend and over the course of this entire season. Tom and Jordan. Cole, I'm not sure how you make sense of it before Tuesday, but we got to figure it out. Cole, what's your headliner so far to this point?
Just the chaos that there is, and only one team really has survived, and that's been Oregon. Everybody else has some sort of a blemish, some serious question marks, but Oregon's been tested. They've been undefeated. I think the one team that you don't have a lot of dings on.
Nussmeier, fade, end zone, incomplete. Trying to find C.J. Daniels. How do you then break down what happened in the Big Ten today? And does it make you think terribly different about Ohio State?
I don't think so. I mean, all bets are off in rivalry games, right? We know that Michigan roster is depleted from what they had last year, but it's still a good, talented football team. They haven't been their best this year, and you never know what can happen in a rivalry game. So I don't dock them too many points, but man, Penn State now slipping into the Big Ten championship game. Oregon, we're going to have some pretty cool home playoff games. Maybe one in Rocky Top.
Nussmeier sidearms it, and it's incomplete to Josh Williams. You know, everyone's been gnashing their teeth every Tuesday night, Wednesday morning about what Ward Manuel said and how they had to make sense of all the rankings. And if I could encourage anything, it's just to pump the brakes. Wait till we get through this weekend, and then you have a much better idea of how everything sorts out. It was looking, once again, past tense, like there wouldn't be any hosts out of the SEC. That changed today.
Now it's looking like there could be a couple, right? Depending on what happens. Texas with a lead on Texas A&M, looking like they're going to have a chance to go to the SEC championship and play Georgia. The loser of that game would most likely probably host one of those first-round playoff games.
22-yard field goal from Damian Ramos. Let's look at this week's college football playoff rankings coming into the weekend, brought to you by Capital One. And yeah, there's going to be movement. Arizona State won. They will play for a Big 12 title.
Miami lost. Who else lost in here? Ohio State lost.
Georgia almost lost.
Georgia almost lost.
You bring up a really interesting point, I think, about Ohio State and Michigan. And I saw the same thing in the Egg Bowl last night. I feel like, and I don't know if the committee will do this, but I think there needs to be consideration for grading rivalry games on a curve.
Yeah, their context matters. Context matters in all games, especially in rivalry games, knowing the bad blood and the intensity and the emotion that go into those, especially as close as it was. It was an ugly game, right? 13-10, but it was close. And so I think you do take that into account rather than kind of losing by 10 or 2 touchdowns, you know, in a different non-rivalry game. I think that matters.
Yeah, and it's not, to your point about the context, it's not that those games should matter. Every game result, every data point that you put up over the course of the season should be weighed. This one's a half swing and punched all the way through the back of the end zone. So let's give you a resume comparison for some of these teams you could consider to be bubble teams. Miami, best wins on the road at Louisville. Same for SMU. So Miami now a 2-loss team. Bama and South Carolina 3-loss teams. You could also throw Ole Miss up there. What a huge win for South Carolina on the road at Clemson today.
And this is where context of how you're playing at what point in the season matters, because Alabama got blown out last week by Oklahoma. South Carolina's won 6 in a row, and their resume continues to get stronger, winning today against Clemson, a team that the committee has thought highly of and has played well in the back half of this season as well.
And you saw that Miami and SMU don't have a single win against a top 25 team.
Yeah.
Oklahoma trying to go tempo here, down 17. Cole, how do you view and try to sort out these teams that are on the back end, especially the 3-loss teams? Are going to get to Arnold and take him down. That'll be a loss of 3. Dominic McKinley, the freshman, with the sack for LSU.
I think the aspect that Jordan just brought up of who's hot now, I realize it's a body of work, but it's a long season, and the 12 best teams are what we want to see in. Why would you not want the best teams right now? South Carolina would have to qualify. Arizona State would have to qualify. SMU's been hot as of late. I think those teams do deserve a little bit of extra credit for how they're playing the last month of the season.
South Carolina is one of 3-loss SEC teams. What they lost that are in consideration, they lost to the other 2, Alabama and Ole Miss. Pressure coming, and Arnold can't escape. LSU brought the house, and Devon Keys ends up with a 2nd consecutive sack for the Tigers.
Look at this pressure that Blake Baker dials up. Watch Whit Weeks and the other linebacker right here. Look at these 2 guys lined up. They're like 5 yards off the ball in sprinter stances, Devon Keys and Whit Weeks, and they just attack the line of scrimmage. A big stun up front.
That's wild. They bail right as they get to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
It's going out wide, with those penetrators coming inside.
And Keys ends up wrapping around and bringing Jackson Arnold down.
Ball checks up at the 45.
I don't think I've ever seen 2 guys in sprinter stances 6 yards off the ball. But hey, we've seen the Maryland eye blitz from Blake Baker this year, so who knows what else he's going to throw out next.
17-point lead for Garrett Nussmeier and LSU. Back to Tiger Stadium in a moment. Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime. It's the SEC on ESPN. Presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. There, Nussmeier trying to stay warm. Just throw a deep ball. That'll warm you up. Danny Stutzman in on the stop for Oklahoma. Stutzman came into this game 9th in Oklahoma history in tackles. And if you look at the names that are in front of him, it's awfully impressive. He's got 9 tackles tonight. In on 1 for a loss. He was first team All Big 12 last year. And there's some question as whether or not he would go off to the NFL, but decided before bowl practice that he would return for another go at it in Norman. 2nd and 8. Pressure on Nussmeier, and somehow he escapes. There's a flag down, likely holding, and he throws it away. We were having Zoom calls with the Oklahoma players this week, including Kim Lewis, and Danny just happened to be in the room when we were doing the calls. Kip mentioned it. And so the last second request, we said, hey, Danny, can you jump on?
Holding. Offense number 29. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still second down.
That's a running back, Caden Durham. And Cole, he didn't hesitate, and he turned the iPad around and showed you exactly what he was breaking down when you asked some specifics about the Bama game.
Yeah, there was one specific play where they got a stop down near the goal line against Alabama. Wanted to ask about, I know what you're talking about, and gave us the call, told us what the pressure was on the call, and just a
pulled
guy
up the play.
You can tell he just loves to grind on film. He was just in there watching film while everybody else is doing their media work.
Yeah, and Brent Venables talked to us about that. Brian Kelly called him incredibly instinctual, and Venables, without knowing that, here's a run to the outside by Durham before getting forced out of bounds. Venables was talking about it as like, well, he's learned how to watch film, and in the end, well, pretty good comp to one of the best ever to do it. Just 3 behind him, and the tackles for loss. Boz through 36 games at 413 tackles.
And Boz, obviously a 2-time Butt Kiss Award winner. There's only been 3 guys in Oklahoma history to win that award. Hasn't been one in the last 21 years since Teddy Lehman in 2003. Stutzman's got a pretty good chance this year. Be pretty cool to see the Butt Kiss Award come back to Norman.
Or tackles away from moving into 8th place in school history. Mubanga is banged up for LSU. They've already had to rotate through at left guard with Garrett Dellinger hurt. Now Mubanga, the freshman from Buford, Georgia.
Offense number 65. 5-yard penalty. It's still 3rd down.
Athletic training staff Tenda Mubanga will be back in Baton Rouge in just a moment.
ESPN College Football Prime Time is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. And in part by Mercedes-Benz.
Well, that was a loaded LSU team that won the national title against Oklahoma. You saw Nick Saban lifting the crystal ball. Andrew Whitworth was on that offensive line. Marcus Spears had a pick 6 in that one. It's only the 4th meeting all time between these programs, the first in the regular season. Bud Wilkinson's team won the Sugar Bowl at Tulane Stadium 1950. Then back at the Sugar 04 for the national title against an Oklahoma offense that averaged 45 points a game, held to 14, and Joe Burrow put 63 on the Sooners in Atlanta on the way to a national title 19. We got flags and whistles.
False start. Offense number 79. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Back-to-back false starts.
Yeah, this time DJ Chester, the center. That usually shouldn't happen. You know, you're the one snapping it.
Well,
you got a motion timing up, and there's Tyree Adams, who was filling in for Mubanga as he ran off there. Quick work for Adams.
Yeah, he count as a snap. Leaves LSU with a 3rd and 13. To the perimeter, and C.J. Daniels, who gets bottled up by Eli Bowen. The year it's been for Bowen, the freshman out of Guyer High School. He started his 7th straight game tonight. He didn't see the field for the first couple of games of the year.
Stop by Eli Bowen.
Playing alongside his brother, who's a year older. There's his brother Peyton back to receive this punt from Blake Oschendorf. Sooners came after it. Oschendorf goes down, no flag, tripped over his own guy. Return from the 6, and Bowen gets past the 10. 48-yard punt, 5-yard return. Matt Berry's Arizona State Sun Devils are playing for a Big 12 title next week. Let's go to the studio, see what else is happening.
Oh, Tom Hart, you're speaking to my soul. They're in the Big 12 championship game. We've got your AT&T countdown to the CFP National Championship update. It is hard to believe We are going into championship weekend with one undefeated team, and it's Oregon. They are up big on Washington, 35-14.
All right, Matt, thanks. Savion Jones is banged up. Sun Devils still waiting. Their opponent, BYU, will follow us later tonight. Is this the new reality of college football? Only one undefeated going into a conference championship weekend. I think about where we are with the 12-team playoff and the comp to the NFL. Chiefs lost 4 regular season games last year. Like it's okay to lose. You don't have to be perfect anymore. Will that continue?
I think so. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think parity across college football is not just NIL, right? And the second string guys of these elite programs getting pilfered and moving all over the conferences, but it's also no divisions in these big conferences anymore. So sometimes the schedule can be even that much harder because you can play whoever in any conference. Super conferences are here with Big Ten and SEC. Getting more and more teams, so I think it's a sign of things to continue.
Second sack for the freshman Dominic McKinley. And those issues that Oklahoma's offensive line had early in the season, specifically against South Carolina, but littered throughout the year, reared its ugly head. 3 straight sacks for LSU now. McKinley's got 2 of them. Able to avoid the sack, but nothing happened. Wow, what a physical play. Sam Franklin got cut down.
You know, there's some pretty good defensive fronts in this conference. As you see here, Jackson Arnold just trying to get rid of the ball. There's some pretty good ones, right? You think an Ole Miss, you think Georgia's pretty good, Texas really good. You know who leads the SEC in quarterback pressure percentage? LSU.
In 5.5 hours in the car today, come up with that?
No, I mean, that was just kind of surprising, right?
3rd and 16. Arnold trying to get out of the end zone. He does, and then took a shot from Weeks up the sideline, and that draws a flag. It'll be an automatic first down. They thought Arnold was out of bounds.
Yeah, a little mental mistake by Weeks there.
Hold on, you came here from Tuscaloosa today. Let's see if Weeks got him.
Yeah, he did.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense number 40. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
You had SEC Nation at the Iron Bowl this morning, and then you didn't walk into this booth until 3 minutes before kick. What took you so long?
Yeah, you know, had a little driver change about halfway.
What is this, Le Mans? You tap out the driver to make it to...
Yeah, I wanted to explore Meridian, Mississippi a little bit more, so I took a break about midway.
It's good. We encourage safe driving. If you get tired, please pull over. Don't need any tryptophan slumbers out there. Arnold pressured again. They got a hand on him, but didn't bring him down. And Arnold showing off his legs and goes tumbling down at the 35 after another first down scramble.
Savion Jones working on Logan Howland again on that left side, getting pressure on Arnold. But once again, Arnold quick to use his feet and get vertical, as he's done a number of times tonight.
Well, what a play for Jackson Arnold, and so much promise to start the season. And after struggling in a couple of games, especially with turnovers, he was benched. Play action, able to get it out to Jacob Jordan. And now Oklahoma trying to finish the season on a high note. And there's no doubt that Alabama win certainly has folks feeling better about the season. And they are once again headed to a bowl. ESPN's projections have them against Virginia Tech in the Gasparilla, or the Independents against West Virginia. On second down, Arnold throws it away, but Texas is the exception to the rule. The success that the Longhorns are having this season under Steve Sarkisian. A lot of teams, their first year in the league, whether it be Missouri finished with a losing record, Texas A&M and Arkansas both struggled when they first showed up to the SEC. Now, Missouri bounced back year 2, made it to Atlanta. But it's not uncommon to struggle.
Totally, especially when you come in a league like Oklahoma did, replacing their entire offensive line, all 5 starters gone. That's tough to come into the SEC, a line of scrimmage league. And
flag down. Arnold tried to fit it in, and Gamble tried to find it sharp because Major Burns was right there. LSU, I think, lined up off sides.
Offside. Defense number 19. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
So while in history teams have struggled going into Power 5 conferences their first year, we could see a bunch of newcomers, though, winning this year, whether it be Texas in the SEC, Oregon in the Big Ten, SMU in the ACC. Here's the history. You win a title your first season in the conference. Virginia Tech in the Big East. Florida State was a power as an independent before they got to the ACC.
Reset the game clock to 7 minutes, 27 seconds.
Then you have to go back to 1953 with Michigan State.
And like you mentioned, we got 4 that could do it. That's a big third down here. This game has felt out of reach for a little bit now since probably mid-third quarter, but you pick this up and get some momentum here, try to get some points, make it a 2-score game here in the 4th quarter.
Wow, what a hit. Zion Alexander has been a one-man wrecking ball tonight for LSU.
Boy, that is the second time Zion Alexander has just been sitting in zone coverage with vision on the quarterback, seeing an underneath check down route come right in front of him, and he has flown down and laid the hammer.
So Oklahoma leaves its offense on the field looking at 4th and 6.
This is where I expect, once again, LSU is probably going to spy Jackson Arnold. That's what I do. Whit Weeks did it last time on a crucial 3rd down.
Arnold flushed. Weeks chasing. Took him down. Ball came out. And LSU pounced on it on the sideline. Weeks had the sack and ended up with the football.
Oh, again, just another great call from Blake Baker. Having his most athletic linebacker with eyes on Jackson Arnold. Knowing that he's going to try to use his legs. Look at Weeks right here. He's going to have vision on Arnold the whole way. And watch the closing speed as Arnold escapes to his left. Whit Weeks is all over it and brings Arnold down.
It was a turnover on, would have been a turnover on downs anyway. The fumble went out of bounds, and that's where the spot is at the 28-yard line. Cole, what did you see down there?
I mean, watching it at field level from behind the Oklahoma offense, especially after Jordan mentioned it right before the snap, that was absolute coaching clinic tape on how to spy a mobile quarterback by Whit Weeks.
It was both Weeks and Keys, and you saw LSU adjust to those long quarterback runs that Arnold had up the gap on him. To the ground game, and Xavier Thomas taken down inbounds as Oklahoma's trying to strip it. Ball security has been an issue for Oklahoma all season, and it's what cost them directly the Missouri game and several others indirectly. They lead the country in fumbles lost, and it's their 7th consecutive game coughing one up.
And 12 of those, I believe, are Jackson Arnold. He's lost 6 of them. Sorry, 12 fumbles. He's lost 6 of them. So 6 of the 15 there. Credit to Arnold. He didn't lose that last one, but he struggled with ball security as well as he did on that one.
On 2nd and 4. Caden Durham. And that's going to be good for a 1st down for the freshman who played his high school ball at Duncanville in Texas, but he's an Oklahoma City native. He was a 4-star recruit. Number 8 running back in the country, and his parents, or at least his mom, actually is an Oklahoma grad. She ran track and field in Norman.
And he leads all SEC freshmen now with 691 yards on the season.
Couple of 100-yard games to his name. He's averaging nearly 8 yards a carry tonight. Durham sneaks through a tiny hole and picks up a couple more. So looking forward for LSU, they're looking at an 8-win season. Brian Kelly won 10 games respectively each of his first 2 years. And we mentioned the recruiting situation where they lost the #1 quarterback in the country, now going to Michigan. That was an interesting conversation with Brian Kelly. But now leaning and looking forward towards next season. Another year for Garrett Nussmeier in this system. Man, he could put up some numbers, huh? And 2nd and 8. Pulls it back, fires late, and a hair behind C.J. Daniels.
Well, and Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan both mentioned that in Jaden Daniels' first year at LSU, this was about the time late in the season, game 8, game 9, game 10, as you see Nussmeier on a little RPO here. Probably should have just handed it off, even though the read says that here late in the 4th quarter. But we mentioned he's a gunslinger, trying to get one more, just a little behind on C.J. Daniels there. But they both kind of mentioned this was when things really started to click for Jaden Daniels in the passing game. And Nussmeier is a guy that's played a lot of football, been around a lot, but really still his first year as a starter. You can imagine just his ability to have another offseason to diagnose and critique himself, game film on yourself. That's one thing people don't understand is so important. You can watch somebody else on tape all you want. You don't digest it or understand it as well as you do when you're watching yourself and you're looking at the decisions you made and what you thought you saw, and cross-referencing that with what you're seeing on tape. You grow so much from that. So I expect LSU to reload big time in the portal and the recruiting and put together a crazy good roster next year. And I expect Garrett Nussmeier to be one of the best in the country once again.
Don't see this very often. Lining up for the field goal, Brian Kelly called his holder, Peyton Todd, over the sideline to talk with him. And this will be about how to manage the clock situation and use the timeout before the play clock expires.
LSU.
LSU looking to tack on another 3 points when we return. But what a night it's been in Death Valley for the Fighting Tigers of LSU and their leader, Garrett Nussmeier. How about Garrett Nussmeier tonight?
Well, it started with what we thought was going to be a game-ending injury. Then he comes running back off the sideline, puts his pads back on, and starts ripping the ball downfield twice to Chris Hilton on deep shots. It looked like he didn't miss a beat. And this LSU offense is just different with 13 at the helm.
Our player spotlight brought to you by Royal Caribbean, and he's going to catch up with Jaden Daniels, the single-season passing yard leaders in LSU history. 2 guys in front of him. Both won the Heisman. Out of the timeout, Damian Ramos. And it's good. 20-point advantage for LSU. 3:19 to go in the 4th quarter. Garrett Nussmeier burst onto the scene second half of the SEC championship game in 22 against Georgia. He threw for 294 in that game, but was behind Jaden Daniels in 22. Was behind him last year. Finally, the opportunity to be a starting quarterback at LSU. When he's right, he's as explosive as anybody.
And kind of the road less traveled in today's college football. Sitting, waiting, being okay, developing on the bench. I mean, this day and age, when you're as talented as Garrett Nussmeier, you try to go find another home if you're sitting behind a Heisman Trophy winner.
Number 20 is now number 98 for
Garrett, being a coach's kid, I think understood that this would be the best scenario for him to sit, learn, wait for his opportunity. And really in this day and age, all you need is 2 good years, maybe even 1, depending if you're looking to play at the next level. Garrett's going to have an opportunity to come back next year and build upon what was a great first-year starter campaign. Obviously not what they wanted from a team standpoint. College football playoffs was the goal, but a lot to be happy with, a lot to build off of for next year.
Sam Franklin out to the 20. We're excited about this game being a battle of blue bloods, and that leads us into the Aflac trivia question. First ever trip for Oklahoma here to Tiger Stadium, and 2 of the great programs in college football. There's the Duck since '99. Bob Stoops took over. Oklahoma has the second most wins in FBS college football. Who has the most?
Since 1999. And Florida had a run in the early 2000s. Bama's had a run the last 15 years. Ohio
State's
State
played deep into the postseason. LSU's had a couple of nice runs.
I'm going to say Bama.
Cole, you want to jump in?
I would have guessed Alabama if I had to guess one there.
Tom, what do you think?
I'm waiting for the reveal.
Oh, come on.
I guessed Alabama.
Boise would have been my next guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sneaky one, right? Kellen Moore had a couple good years there.
2nd and 9.
It's going to be it's going to be off the wall. It's not going to be an obvious one. And Oklahoma. Oh, Boise. It was Boise State.
Cole, congratulations.
Second place is the first loser.
Good job. We answered the athletic trivia question.
And Cole, for that, you get a cold hot dog that's sitting up here next to me.
Can't wait.
Oh, wait, I ate it. They're down 7. And play clock.
That's a 2-minute timeout.
The clock takes us down to the 2-minute timeout. Well, Sooners knocked off Bama last week, and that made them bowl eligible for the 26th consecutive season, second in the country only to Georgia. Final 2 minutes after this.
And the 2-minute timeout.
Sam Franklin down the sideline. I imagine Kyle Field is rocking just a little bit. There's the longest play of the night for Oklahoma. It goes for 34 yards. Thanks to Franklin getting a touch. Because an Oklahoma team just kind of felt overwhelmed, late second quarter in this game, coming off the win against Alabama. How much do you think the Alabama game took out of them?
Well, I don't think they came down from it until maybe Monday night, Tuesday morning. So this turned into a short week, really, for Oklahoma preparing for this game. You had Thanksgiving to that, so your preparation time was going to be near the same. You had 2 weeks to prepare for that Alabama game. A lot more practice time, meeting time, film time, and even though they didn't install a lot of new plays, a lot of new formations, a lot of new motions, shifts, personnel groupings, weren't able to do all that against LSU for this game. So they sold that Alabama game like it was their Super Bowl, and it worked out well. You just weren't going to have the same amount of time to prepare for this one like you did for that one.
2nd and 4. And that's a first down run. And is that a regular occurrence for football teams? You pour so much into one game that it's hard then to stay up for the next opponent.
Yeah, it's an emotional hangover. Like, I mean, your nervous system and your emotions are shot after a game like that in a really good way, right? But it's tough to refocus that, wash it, and get back to the grind the very next day, like Cole said, on a funky week for Thanksgiving. It's understandable they came out just a little bit flat here.
Arnold fakes to the flat. Goes down the sideline, and it is nearly picked. Sage Ryan already has one. That would have added some workload to our buddy Michael Bonnet, who was honored today here at the stadium with his wife Robin, sons Peyton and Max. Son Grant is on the coaching staff at Arkansas State, couldn't make it. Longest serving sports information director in LSU football history. Michael celebrates his 25th season with the program this year. That's a lot of W's.
That is a lot.
A lot of game notes printed out.
Here's Jacob Jordan. It's bottled up. We couldn't do our jobs without the fine sports information directors throughout all of college football, but especially in the SEC, and Mike Houck with Oklahoma and his staff, tremendous as well. They'll get ready for a bowl game. A couple of different options for Oklahoma. And we're talking with Brent Venables, and they also have a new offensive coordinator to hire, it seems. Under the 16-yard line. First ever trip for Oklahoma to Tiger Stadium. They brought a ton of fans who've no doubt enjoyed the weekend in Baton Rouge, but they're going to come up short in the win column. One more play for Arnold. And they're trying to run it as the clock hits triple zeros. And they take it down inside the 5. Another run for Sam Franklin. Our final score tonight, LSU and Oklahoma wrap up the regular season. Tigers win it 37-17. Coming up next, Big 12 matchup, Houston and BYU. And so far, fantastic crew, including Cole Kublik and Jordan Rogers. I'm Tom Hart. Have a great weekend, everybody. Let's get you to Houston and BYU. Here's Dave Fleming.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Southeastern Conference on ESPN.